You're listening to the Because I Said So podcast.
All right. Peeked out a little bit there. Got my computer acting really stupid right now. It kind of stinks. The music is still playing. It's supposed to have this thing where it's faded out, and now it's fading out. But it's opening up another program. All right. Welcome to the Because I Said So podcast. It's a father and son's podcast. I am Jeremy. With me, as always, are my two boys, aged 15 and 9. Jonas and Josiah. Jonas is not 15, he is 9. And we are going to do a very, very brief episode of the podcast because it is very late at night. We have a ton of things going on. And Jonas was flipping his lid that we were not recording tonight. So now we're going to. And we're just going to let it fly. Anyway, it is Sunday, May 7th. We're going to release this episode on May 8th. A couple days ago was a big day in the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that day was what? Well, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, but what came out on May 5th?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Correct. The sequel to the sleeper hit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Guardians of the Galaxy, came out a couple of years ago. Nobody knew what to expect, except there was a talking raccoon with a gun, and it ended up being a huge hit. In fact, I remember going to a preview of it with Jonas, the first one. I got a free ticket from my local comic shop, and we went over and we watched 20 minutes of footage before the movie released, and it was awesome.
45 minutes.
It was only 20 minutes of footage. And then whet our appetites for it, and we did go opening day for that. It was very enjoyable. It was different. It felt like Star Wars.
It was bad.
The first one?
No, the first one was not as inappropriate.
No, all right. We're gonna get to that. I'm giving some backstory here, guys. So we didn't know what to expect from the first movie. We loved it, and then we go to the second one. Now let's do it this way. We're gonna break it down into 3 categories when it comes to the movie: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, first of all, I enjoyed the first movie. There was a couple things that were a little off color. As a parent, I was able to let it slide because it wasn't that obvious. But overall, it was a fun movie, and I enjoyed the first movie. So, with that in mind, I was completely comfortable bringing my kids to see the second film. So, the second movie, the good. Let's talk about the good, but let's not spoil it for people who haven't seen it. You guys are giggling while I'm trying to talk. You're giggling about what?
Oh, Jonas said something for the ugly. What the part of the ugly would be.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. But anyway.
No, just say
No,
it.
we'll get to the ugly later. Alright, let's talk about the good without being spoilery about the movie. The good. What was the good about it, Jonas? What did you like about it that was good?
It was funny.
It was funny. What was funny about it? Groot. Baby Groot was obviously a highlight. It's cuteness. Set up to 11. He was adorable. Baby Groot was adorable. He was awesome. In the first scene, I could watch 2.5 hours of him doing what he did for the first scene.
Yes.
And not get bored. It was that fun. I loved Baby Groot. And he had the most creative lines of the whole movie. I am Groot.
I am Groot.
I am Groot.
He never forgets his lines.
No, he never forgets his lines. But okay, Josiah, what did you think was good about it?
I liked that they're I'm trying to say it without spoiling anything.
Okay.
I liked that Sylvester Stallone was in it, even though he was a small character.
Yes. Well, you know what? It's funny because in the scenes later on, in the post-credit scenes, we are going to spoil it later on, but I will give you a fair warning about it. But all right, that was cool seeing all those big names. All right, can you guys stop doing that? They're doing stuff off mic where they're just making motions to each other and stuff, and it's really annoying while I'm trying to talk. Please don't do that. What I thought was good about it, I think it was the most heartfelt of the Marvel movies, Marvel Cinematic Universe films. It had a really good story in that the first one they laid the seeds for Peter Quill, also known as Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt, who is hilarious. He doesn't know who his dad is, and they set the seeds for that, and they introduce his father in this movie. And there's all this this talk of fatherhood and family. In fact, every character has a moment where they talk about family. Either it's Peter talking about his dad, or Drax talking about his lost wife and son, or daughter, I don't remember now. And then you've got Nebula and Gamora talking about the fact that they are sisters and the sisterhood, and dealing with Thanos as a adopted father, and all sorts of stuff about family. And I thought it was the most heartfelt. In fact, there was some stuff in the end that really it got a little dusty in the theater for me, and it was tough to watch, but I rather enjoyed it, at least that aspect of it. So let's go on to the bad. Name one bad thing about the movie, Josiah. Or Jonas.
Inappropriate.
Okay, Josiah.
Yeah, the inappropriate humor.
That's the bad. The bad is that there was a lot of off-color jokes. I'm willing to give a movie a pass on one.
Drax gave out most of them.
Yes, I'm willing to give a pass to one or two jokes that are a little on the blue side, but this was chock full of it. Now, to play devil's advocate, I guess, I think the reasoning behind it is Drax is a character who's very cut and dry, and has no filter. And in fact, in the first film, he was very, very no filter at all, and he didn't understand sarcasm or any kind of metaphors or any of that. And in fact, there was a lot of feedback in that Drax really sort of represented a certain level of someone on the autism spectrum. And I can see that working with a lot of people in that arena in my job and being around them. I see where they're coming from, but Drax is very blunt in his discussion about the human body, about parts of the body, about body functions, and things like that. And to the point where it's uncomfortable for me as a father to sit in the theater and watch those jokes, because I don't laugh at them. I don't think they're funny. And my kids are, they're feeling a little uncomfortable too, because it's just not appropriate for a movie that I really like to watch with my kids. So the bad is that they write it almost like, hey, this is okay because Drax doesn't understand. And, well, I really don't want my kids to repeat some of those jokes or some of those statements. And because there are people in the theater laughing about it, of course they're going to want to get that pop from somebody by making them laugh with a joke that is basically very inappropriate. So I think for me that was the worst part of the film, and what makes it very hard for me to recommend it to anybody with kids that are probably under the age of 12 or even 13. It earns its rating. I wouldn't put it at a rating of rated R because blue humor is in a lot of movies at that level. But from a parent standpoint, I would definitely not. I wouldn't have brought Jonas to see that movie if I had known those jokes were in there. It just wouldn't have been appropriate. So, let's move on to the ugly. Do we have an ugly? What do you want to say about ugly? You're giggling and we're on audio, so.
Can I mention one of the characters' names
What's.
that
Yeah.
no one knows about?
Who?
Well,
Mantis.
everyone knows.
Everybody knows who Mantis is. Mantis is in the trailer.
And the ugly Mantis.
Mantis is ugly? At least Drax thinks Mantis is ugly. In fact, Drax has some of the great interactions with Mantis. They share sort of a... I think Dave Bautista actually said that they share an innocence about them. And that's true because they're a lot like children. And that was, Mantis. And in fact, at one point he said he thought that she was quite ugly. And I thought that was funny. Yes, okay. What about the ugly, Josiah? Anything ugly about this movie?
What do you mean ugly?
Like something that really made you cringe.
Like, the line that Rocket said where he was like, he said, "Welcome to the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy," except you didn't use freaking, because then it was just like kind of too self-aware.
Yes.
It was almost like how they almost put that line in Rogue One where she was like, "This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel."
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I get that.
And
Yeah. For me, ugly, there wasn't a lot of ugly to me. I mean, the ugliest part of it was the humor, which kind of, like, sucked about it. Overall, I think it was well made. The CG was very comic book CG. There was even some goofy stuff with Yondu and Rocket traveling, how many jumps? 700 jumps. Their faces get all distorted and almost like abstract. It was kind of funny.
It was like they were using a Snapchat filter.
Yeah, it was very, very goofy, but it made sense in the universe that they created there with the Guardians. But
oh, and the Stan Lee cameo was just like really Kenichi.
well, they set it up because there's always been that theory that Stan Lee's character is the Watcher, and Uatu the Watcher, who is a character in the comic books, who watches and reports, and that's it. He doesn't intervene. He doesn't do anything. He is the Watcher. He is Uatu, and that's the theory. And he was sitting there with the Watchers, so that was kind of cool. Sorry if that's a little spoilery, but not really. So, all right, let us give our grade or our rating for the movie, and then we'll go into spoiler territory. Jonas. Out of 5, how many do you give it?
I'll give it about a 4.
A 4, okay, a 4 from Jonas. Josiah?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go, I would say, if you factor in the humor, outside of that, this movie was great. I loved a lot of this movie. I thought the heartfelt nature of the film, of the storyline, of the interactions, the discussion about family, I thought those were incredible. So I would actually give this a 4.5. But be cautious. If you have children who are going to want to see this movie, you might want to take them to see the movie. But know this. There are some jokes in there that you will not want repeated by your kids. So go in there knowing it. And now you're aware that this is not written for kids, even though it's going to be seen by a lot of them. So just know that. Just go in knowing that. That's the warning I give you as a father who took his boys to see this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you're gonna get some.
And a friend.
Well, yeah, we took a friend, but yeah,
He's fine.
Anyway, so if you're going to take them, just know there are a lot of crude jokes. I don't have a count. I'm not that kind of guy. I couldn't tell you how many there were. There are a few crude jokes that just really pulled me out of the movie and made me ugh. So that's it. All right, let's go into spoiler territory.
Watch it on Pure Flix, by the way, if you want to do that. Like one of the.
I cannot endorse Pure Flix unless they pay me. So, all right. We're going to spoil this movie now. If you listen past this point, know that you're going to find out things that you might not want to hear. So, do not listen now. I am going to talk for another 15 seconds to let you know that I am going to spoil this movie. 10 more seconds of me telling you we're going to spoil it. we're going to spoil it. We're going to talk about things you don't want to know if you haven't seen it. So we're going to spoil it now.